There are other things on the menu, Larry.
There are other restaurants, Jim.
No, I heard of a new restaurant that's opened up on Main Street called Hewlett Square. It's Hewlett. Oh.
Yeah, Hewlett. After Frank Hewlett, the guy that died in the First World War. No sense of history.
She's got a sense of history, all right. Seems like a decade since I placed my order. I know it's going to be an hour before I see my food, but please, a cup of coffee.
Keep talking, Larry. Keep talking. What took you so long? I thought you were right behind me.
Are you serious? I just loved every belonging you have down 3 flights of stairs in 2 city blocks. There's nothing left in the apartment.
Janine, we did leave that old ugly bamboo bird cage from the yard sale last summer. Other than that, you're right. So I'll forgive you for being so slow.
Oh, thanks, Your Highness. What can I get you, ladies? Oh, don't tell me. One over easy on wheat, right?
No, just a ginger ale. I just took a pill and I can't eat for an hour.
I'll have a burger, please. A little early for a burger. Let me check with the boss. Jim, can you do a burger?
You know the drill, Elaine. No burgers before 11:30, just like McDonald's.
Yeah, you want cheese on that? And there. Medium, okay? Fine. Something to drink? Soda. Are you ladies taking a trip?
Yes, Illinois.
Send me a postcard. What's it like in Illinois anyway?
I've never been there myself, but David says it's nice. He and his wife like it out there.
Which one's David again, the oldest?
No, Jeanette. Donnie Jr. is my oldest. Marie is in the middle. And David is the youngest. David has always been the wanderer. But he eventually settled in Illinois with his wife, Cheryl. His father and I rarely saw him, but he would call at special occasion. But since his dad passed away a few years ago, he has been calling more often.
Sounds like he really cares for you.
Oh, he does. Of course, it'll be a change. I don't know if I'll be able to adjust living with him and Cheryl. It'll feel like such an imposition. He says, no, Ma, forget it. We want you to come. But I say, who wants their mother around all the time?
But Maddie, we've been over this a million times. You need somebody to help you out. I mean, I know you're all there and everything, but you could use a hand, and you know it. I don't want to see you go either, but it's best.
But I've been here all my life. I mean, I've traveled a bit, but I've never had the intention of leaving Lewiston. This is my home.
Well, I didn't want to leave Jersey either, but we had to move when my mom got a job.
You had no choice.
Neither do you.
Well, what are you going to do without me? Where are you going to spend your Friday nights? Who's going to critique your paintings? And whose costume jewelry are you going to wear?
Well, you got a point there. It's going to be pretty tough accessorizing. But it's dangerous for you to be alone. What if you fall, like last winter?
I won't fall.
How do you know that?
Because the new boy they hired to do the walk does a better job.
That's not the point.
It sure is.
But your son wants you with him.
There's too much snow in Illinois.
Illinois doesn't get any more snow than Maine.
Now, what are you, a weatherman?
No. I'm your friend.
Yes, I know. But I still
I
think...
understand what you're saying.
No, you don't. What if there's no Beano in Illinois?
Beano?
Yes, Beano.
Of course it has Beano. If it has old people, it has Beano.
Probably won't.
It will.
It won't.
It will.
It won't.
It will.
I don't know why I'm being that silly. Because I know this is the thing to do. But even after all these years, change has still come hard to me. I'll miss this place.
What? McCrory's?
No, Jeanette. Lewiston. This city has found its way into my heart.
The banks of the noble Androscoggin were once the home of a powerful tribe of Native Americans known as the Abenakis, whose members near the Lewiston Falls were named the Anasaguntacooks. Over time, these hunting and fishing grounds were sold by the tribe of Sagamores, and eventually these lands on the Androscoggin came into the enterprising hands of the Petits-enfants Company, who purchased the claim for 140 pounds in 1714. No effort was made to settle the land until 1767, when two prominent members of the Petits-enfants Company, Jonathan Bagley and Moses Little, were granted the tract of land at the falls under the following condition: that the said Jonathan Bagley and Moses Little build 50 houses and settle 50 families in 6 years from this time hence. In 1770, Paul Hildreth became the first settler to move into the plantation of Lewiston. He was a man possessed of a roving, bold, and resolute spirit. He built his cabin on the banks of the river just below the Continental Mill and established the first ferry in town. He had married Miss Hannah Merrill of Nottingham, New Hampshire, and they eventually had a family of 8 children. In 1794, the pioneers of Lewiston wanted a change in their municipal affairs and petitioned the General Court of Massachusetts to be incorporated into a town. The request was granted, and Governor Samuel Adams of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts approved the Act of Incorporation.
On February 18th in the year of our Lord 1795, the House of Representatives and the Senate of the Commonwealth passed a bill, which this governor approved, authorizing the plantation of Lewiston to be incorporated into a town, vested with all the powers, the privileges, and immunities which other towns in the Commonwealth enjoy by law.
In the years following Lewiston's incorporation, Lewiston was becoming a manufacturing city. The old sawmill disappeared, but the falls would become a greater source of wealth for the people of the community. As early as 1819, Michael Little had established a small carding and fulling woolen mill. The manufacture of cotton in Lewiston had very humble origins on the third floor of a wooden structure built close to the falls. Ephraim Wood began the manufacture of cotton warps and batting in 1836. His successor, Joseph Harding, added 3 looms in 1844 and commenced the manufacture of cotton cloth in the same building which came to be known as the Old Cotton Mill. The success of these efforts introduced Lewiston's leading entrepreneurs, Edward Little, John Fry, Alonzo Garshlin, and others to engage in similar activity. These were men who had long been ambitious to develop the power site at the falls. The Franklin Company had purchased strategic land sites on both sides of the river and invested in early manufacturing enterprises. The Great Androscoggin Falls, Dam, Lock, and Canal Company had a grand design to harness the power, but the vision was beyond their means. So they organized themselves as the Lewiston Water Power Company and sold much of their stock to Boston investors. But in 1847, the sleepy farming community had met its builder in a man named Benjamin Bates. The vision of the former school teacher and now a prominent member in a Boston firm lay beyond the natural beauty of the falls and on the Androscoggin, but on cotton weaving. He saw that a canal would be needed to harness the power efficiently and visualized not one mill, but a line of mills placed along its banks. In the decade of his arrival, the town had expanded from 1,800 to 4,800 residents, among whom were local entrepreneurs ahead of their time. They had already created a wool and a new cotton mill. Benjamin recognized that the railroad was rapidly ending Lewiston's geographic and economic isolation. The Lewiston Water Power Company and Mr. Bates led Lewiston into its golden age. The years following 1850 were ones of momentous expansion. Lewiston would become a major textile center in the industrial heart of Maine. Among its industrial establishments were the Bates Manufacturing Company and the Columbia Mills. The Continental Mill and the Hill Manufacturing Company. Cowan Woolen Company and the Cumberland Mill. The Lincoln Mill, Androscoggin Mill, and the Lewiston Bleachery. In 1861, Lewiston had become a city, electing Jacob Ham as its first mayor.
As Lewiston's first mayor, I'm grateful to the people of this community for this office and my chance to be of service to it. In 1861, it was your vote that incorporated our town into a city that opened its doors to vast numbers of people, a city that offered the opportunity for work and the chance to make a decent living. Bates Manufacturing, the Bleachery, and the new Androscoggin have hundreds of workers in their mills. And I'm pleased to announce that the Hill will be opening its second location next year. Lisbon Street has become our great central business district and thoroughfare for much foot travel and the passing of teams and carriages. It is already regretted that we have not widened it to keep up with our growing population. As your representative of our new city, I'm confident of our contribution to the state of Maine and our place in its history. and I'd like to welcome all immigrants to their new home.
From 1860, Lewiston had grown in population faster than any other city in Maine. Foreign immigration accounted for a significant portion of this growth. The Irish arrived in the 1850s. The French predominated, but near the turn of the century, they were joined by the Italians, Greeks, Lithuanians, and the Jewish population. Lewiston had become a destination for thousands of young men and women who sought to establish a livelihood. And by 1895, Lewiston and its people prospered and remained confident in the city's future.
Lewiston was a bustling city when my parents arrived from Canada in 1895. The mills were prospering, so work was plentiful. In Quebec, life was hard on the farms, and everyone was talking about going south to the land where the streets were made of gold. My parents sold everything larger than a suitcase and boarded a train in Quebec City. In Lewiston, relatives would meet other relatives arriving at the Lincoln Street Depot. The new arrivals often spoke no English and had to depend entirely on those that had already made their way. As they stepped from the train onto the busy platform, they were all hoping to see the familiar face of Uncle Alphonse Cyr. However, Alphonse was nowhere in sight.
Eh, mais qu'est-ce que tu fais là, toi? Hé, fais ça, Ah, mes petits voleurs! Donne-moi ça, là. Donne-moi ça. Viens, mes petits voleurs. Bernard, c'est la dernière fois que tu me joues pour là, toi.
Hello, boys.
Good morning, Officer Murphy.
You seem a bit hurried. Where are you off to?
You're waiting for us at the sandlot.
For a good game of ball, I'm assuming.
Yes, sir.
Good day, Mr. Bouchard. Boys, have you greeted Mr. Bouchard this morning?
Morning, Monsieur Bouchard.
Bernard, ta maman va en entendre parler de ça. La deuxième fois cette semaine.
I'll keep an eye on those boys for you. But did you hear about the older rascals I caught yesterday? Jack Sears and James Driscoll.
Had to be trouble, huh?
You bet your boots. They were walking down the street in broad daylight, puffing on some 10-cent cigars stolen from Councilman Mill's store up the street here.
Mais non.
Yes, sir. Well, I followed them till I was so close the smoke was in me eyes. And then I asked them point blank, where'd you fellas get those cigars?
And what did the scoundrels say to you?
They offered me one. Can you believe it? They'd gotten into the wine. Must have forgotten word without all over town that they'd stolen 200 cigars. So I hauled them off to the station before they could take another puff.
No. Well, Officer Murphy, there's reward for taking care of a couple of bad apples.
That's not necessary, Letty, but I thank you. Well, I'm off. Must be making me rounds.
Au revoir.
Well, good day, Mr. Sear.
Good morning, Officer Murphy.
'Tis. And how are things at the mill?
Oh, just fine. Busy as usual. Business on the beat.
Fine, fine. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you're working at the Continental now.
That's right. Oh, but if you'll excuse me, officer, my family from Quebec are arriving very shortly on the 9:15. They'll never forgive me if I'm late. A brisk walk to the depot on Lincoln Street should give me time.
But Alphonse, it's not the 9:15. It's the 8:15.
What do you mean, 8:15?
The 8:15, lad. The first train that arrives at the depot every Saturday.
Mon Dieu! I thought it was a 9:15 train. How could I be mistaken after all my years? I'm late.
By about 30 minutes, chap.
Pardon, parlez-vous français?
Mr. Bouchard, would you come over here a moment, please?
Yes, officer. How can I be in help to you?
These folks appear to be lost and are of your own persuasion.
Ah, monsieur, êtes-vous perdu? Oui, nous sommes perdus. Je m'appelle Louis Morin. Connaissez-vous Alphonse Cyr?
Ah, he said something about Alphonse. Ask him if he's lost.
I did ask him if he's lost.
Well, of course he did. Ask him if he has a place to stay.
Well, this is the family that Alphonse is supposed to meet this morning.
Well, tell him he's late, but he'll be along any minute now.
Monsieur Bouchard, inquiétez-vous pas, Alphonse sera de retour bientôt. Avez-vous une place à rester?
Non, mais Alphonse nous a promis un beau loyer, avec beaucoup de chambres, et du travail aussi.
Now, wait a minute. You're talking much too fast. Do tell me what he said. You know I can't understand French when it's on a fast train. Something about work?
Not bad for an Irishman. Yeah, he told me that Alphonse was supposed to meet them at the depot this morning, and he thought he had a place for them to stay. Possibly one of those tenements down on River Street. There's so many people living there, they're taking turns sleeping.
Well, of course I know that. It's turning into a little Canada down there, and not a soul in sight can speak a word of English.
Well, good morning, Mr. Bouchard. Officer?
Good morning, Dr. Laventhal. Yes, sir.
Well, what do we have here? Must be new in town.
Just stepped off the train. Can't speak a word of English.
Well, do they have a place to stay?
No, not yet, but Alphonse here is their relative, and when he gets there, he'll take care of them. Watch out, laddie!
Well, are you okay, little fella? You shouldn't run out in front of people like that.
Pardonnez-lui. On est nouveau dans cette ville. On attend pour M. Cyr comme une demeure et le travail.
Now, don't get yourself going with all these words here. I'm sure the boy will be just fine.
A small abrasion. Nothing that won't heal in a couple of days. Better to be hit by a bicycle than one of our trolleys.
They're new in town, Frank. One of those families coming down from Quebec.
Well, bonjour, monsieur et madame.
Morin, Louis et Marie Morin. Et ce jeune homme s'appelle François Leroux.
Vous avez plaisir de me voir. What did I say?
You told them they were happy to see you. Your French is improving, my Italian friend. But you still have a lot to learn. You know, that reminds me when my family came down off the train on the province. I was just a lad then. Yes, all the people down there tried to persuade my father to stay and work the farm, but he wouldn't listen to them, and down we came to America.
Land of the free, home of the brave. There was no turning back once we boarded the big ship in Morgansport, Britain. When we arrived in America from Latvia, Ellis Island seemed like another world. I recall thinking how odd it was that no one spoke our language. Father took to shoemaking in Massachusetts until word came there was opportunity in Maine. Lewiston, they said, was quickly becoming the state's industrial heart, pumping out cloth and shoes by the millions.
And none of it would have been possible if it weren't for the Irish. People like my father, who worked for next to nothing to build these canals. In shanties they lived, getting by on boiled potatoes and occasional scrap of meat. No, life in America was no day in the park for Mr. and Mrs. Richard and Martha Murphy. Scraping a dime here, a nickel there. Somehow they managed to save up enough to send for us back at the island. And now, laddies, I call this place home.
Home is where you make it. And here we made ours. All the way from Sicily we came, searching for a better way. But the road was hard. We worked our way north from one place to the next until Papa finally opened his own restaurant here in Lewiston.
Yes, Lewiston has brought good fortune to us all.
My daddy left Ireland at age 21 to seek out his fortune and fame. He crossed the Atlantic with a wife and 2 sons, and nothing to claim but his name. He came to this city to work in the mill, for wages 'twould barely buy bread. He never complained of his life here, and still I remember the words that he said. I have found a new home where the future is bright, for your children and their children too. It's a world that is good, filled with hope and with light. This city is my gift to you. I have traveled this far to seek a new life, for the chance to be happy and free, to let go of the past with its heartaches and strife, in a city that welcomes me.
La vie à Québec était dure pour nous, pas beaucoup d'occasions. On travaillait fort pour quelques sous, tout de même on perdu la maison. Prions le bon Dieu pour une meilleure vie, ensemble tous les soirs. Quitter Canada pour les États-Unis, pour faire une nouvelle histoire. Nous venons d'arriver dans un nouveau pays, où la vie est bonne pour les enfants. Malgré les peurs tristes, on attend l'avenir, avec foi, l'espoir et des joies.
We have traveled this far to seek a new life, for the chance to be happy and free, to let go of the past with its heartaches and strife, in a city that welcomes me. We have found a new home where the future is bright, for our children and their children too. It's a world that is good, filled with hope and with light. This city is our gift to you. We have traveled this far to seek a new life, for the chance to be happy and free, to let go of the past with its heartaches and strife, in a city that welcomes me. In a city that welcomes me.
Oh, dear. I had lost an entire family. I was only 15 minutes late. Where could they have gone? I'm fluent. Amen. Donnez-moi, Louis. Marie, bienvenue à Lewiston. Can everybody look this way, please? Smile.
Uncle Alphonse did as he promised Papa and Mama, and found him a place to live down the Little Canada, close to the Continental Mill. At the same time, the Empire Theater opened its doors to the people of Lewiston. I was born in the middle of St. Mary's Parish on River Street. I have fond memories of the time I spent in that neighborhood so far from Canada, like playing simple games in the streets, or the wonderful aroma of meat pies from the oven, or running after my friends at a game of hide and seek through the alleys.
You mean kids were playing in the alleyways? You didn't play in the alleyways where I'm from. Junkies don't make very good marbles partners.
Nowadays, I don't know that I would venture to those alleys myself. But things were different then. Everyone knew everyone else. Grandma lived across the hall. Uncle Marcel 2 doors down. And if and when Mama wasn't around, we simply had to report to Grandma after school, which was often the case since so many people were working at the mills.
Double income families?
Of course, child. Every able-bodied worked in those days, even the children. Most of my family worked at the Continental Mill. Papa worked the loom, Gérard in the spinning room, and Estelle worked in the folding room. And Mama, oh Mama, how she worked. The work day never ended for Mama. After punching cards 12 hours in the mill, she'd come home, cook, clean, and scrub all during the night. She'd rest 3-4 hours and then start all over again. She was a hard worker, Mama.
And you?
Well, I went to school down the street at the church. The class were held in the basement while they were building over our heads. Being the youngest, I had more schooling than the others. We were better off then. I had a special treat of taking Papa his lunch at the mill since it was so close to home. This was one of the most important part of my day, even though I always seemed to be running late. You know, that's how I met Donovan. We were young then.
God forgive us our sins and bless the children in their presentations this afternoon. Amen.
Amen.
I know, Mama. I must run. Oh, 1, 2. Oh, can't be late for school again. I can't study this fast on my knees.
Wait! Forgotten your pastries. That's lunch without dessert.
Thank you. That's my papa's pastry, and I have to run. I can't.
And where does your father work? I'll just take it to him.
Well, at the mill in the card room.
You mean the Continental?
Yes.
Well, fancy that. So do I. Only I work down in the spinning room. Oiling machines and running errands.
That's very nice, but I have to run. Really, I can't do that.
Now, hold on a second. Just give me your father's name and trust me.
If I do, you won't eat his lunch, will you? Papa can miss his lunch.
No, ma'am, you can't, and you can trust me for sure. My name's Donovan Macaulay, and I live nearby here on Lincoln Street. And this voracious fellow is my friend Roger.
Good day, ma'am. You can trust Macaulay farther than you can throw him.
And now your father's name.
Louis Morin. He works in the second floor in the card room. Thank you for being such a big help, and don't forget.
What's your name?
So you see, children, God loved his people, and he sent his only son, Jesus, who died for our sins. So let us be good neighbors to our Irish friends and to the others with whom we share our community. Good afternoon, Madeline. Your father's lunch again.
No. Well, I mean, yes, yes, please. Well, you see, I was running late, and my sister's children, they're always crying, and then, the pedal dropped.
Thank you for your explanation. Now get down on your knees and pray for promptness. The rest of the class, get ready for your oral presentations. Yvette, you will go first.
Well, you see, sister, I forgot. I have 7 sisters and brothers, and I have to help my mother with them all the time.
You know the procedure.
Yes, sister.
Well then, Anybody else before we begin? Yes, Madeline.
I'm prepared to tell that story.
Very well then. Madeline will go first. The rest of you, get up. We can't have the entire class kneeling on the floor now, can we?
No, sister. I took a train to Canada to see Papa Levesque. He owns a little farmhouse in the south part of Quebec. He made me clean the cow barn and bale up all the grain. It made me very anxious to come back home to Maine. Oh, my summer vacation wasn't all it's meant to be. You work around the house all day or in the factory, and there are so many good times, we'll always hold them dear. It makes you wish vacation time would last a whole darn year.
Every Saturday this summer I would go to Lewiston Street to see if there was anything at leisure cost to eat. For a penny I could buy some stuff that lasts me for a week, and all I had to do was let the ladies pinch my cheeks. Oh, my summer vacation, I couldn't. I couldn't eat most anything but for my gracious Lord.
And there are so many good times, we'll always hold them dear. It makes you wish vacation time would last a whole darn year.
After school was out, we thought we'd both do something really grand. Wanted to play music, join the St. Cecile Boys Band. I got to play the trumpet and the slide trombone, but we could never practice when there was someone home. For summer vacation, we really had it made. We got to wear nice uniforms and march in the parade.
There are so many good times, we'll always hold them dear. It makes you wish vacation time would last a whole darn year. Every night this summer, my mommy, dad, and me would go to the theater for hearing symphony. But the best part of the summer was when I got the chance of going out on Saturdays and learning how to dance. Oh, my summer vacation was really fun for me. Going to a music hall and singing Lucy. And there are so many good times, we'll always hold them dear. It makes you wish vacation time would last a whole darn year.
Middle of the summer, I got into a fight. An Irish kid from Locust Street tried to steal my bike. He hit me in the stomach. I punched him in the eye. Now me and him are buddies until the day we die. The summer vacation isn't always fun and games. The game is the English games, the Irish call you names.
But there are so many good times, we'll always hold them dear. It makes you wish vacation time would last a whole darn year. Oh, it's summer vacation for each and every one. Living here in Lewiston and be lots of fun. And there are so many good times, we'll always hold them dear. It makes you wish vacation time would last a whole darn year.
I got a story for everyone.
Please don't tell them.
Oh, it's not only your family, but all of Lewiston should hear it.
Oh, come on, Chiquire, swallow your pride. Oh, fine. All right, Gerard, don't keep us in suspense. Tell us this story that Pierre doesn't want us to know about.
Okay. It was Pierre's first day as an altar boy today. And it was all he could do to build up his courage to get up there and stand next to Pierre Cornoyer.
Oh.
Tu connais Pierre Cornoyer, hein? Pas mal sévère des fois. Et puis, the mass had just started. And the church, she was full. And it was so quiet, on était capable d'attendre le badaud ronfler. And then it happened. After the gospel, Pierre goes to give the water and the wine to the priest, and goes to remove the stopper from the cruet. And she was stuck. Et c'est Michel, what's it faire? Pierre, he takes the bottle, puts it between his legs, and he come out. Il tire, puis il force. Ah, pauvre Pierre, je te dis, forcer assez, je pensais que t'étais pour faire une job de sécurité. Après ça, elle forçait un petit peu plus, puis pouf! Up she goes. And for a while there, it looked like she would not come down. Oh, je te dis, c'est une bonne affaire, Sarah Elizabeth. She can take a joke.
But why?
Why? When she finally come down, they laid it on her head, and they woke her up. He turned as good as that.
No! That's impossible! You just finished eating some of the meal's ragout.
I know, Mama, but we're hungry for dessert now.
Like bears for their honey. Children, go into the house and see Madeleine. She'll give you each a piece of chocolate pie. And I have plenty. Yes.
Madeleine has grown into a woman so quickly, Mama.
Oh, yes, it's true. And she's my last child living at home. Imagine. And she's the age right now that I was when we got married.
So are there any suitors yet?
Such a simple.
None that I know of. So there better not be any, huh? Anybody want to court my daughter, he has to come through me first.
Louis, don't be so old-fashioned. After all, Madeleine, she's a young woman. She's not a China doll.
Yeah, you've been away from Canada too long.
And you're still living on the farm.
Good afternoon, everyone. Monsieur and Madame Morin. I'm sorry to disturb you. It's just that the parish is looking for volunteers to work the fall bazaar. I know Madeleine has helped the last few years. And you, Marie, the recipe for your pies must come directly from heaven.
Please don't say another word, Father. We'd love to help.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
And here, Father, is a small sample from heaven.
I'm so blessed today. You know, that reminds me. I saw your father Cornoyer at St. Peter's Church this morning. He told me the sweetest story about one of his altar boys. it seems Robert. No, Paul. No, it really doesn't matter. But anyway, it seems that the boy was trying to pull the cruet, and the cork from the cruet, and he accidentally threw clear across the cathedral, hit Sister Elizabeth on the head, woke her up just in time for the Grand Army, and you believe it? All the parishioners roared.
Well, yes, I can imagine.
I'm laughing myself. You know, this pie is really good.
Oh.
Thanks a lot anyway. I get to run.
Oh, well,
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Well, looks like you're famous, little nephew.
Yes, a regular celebrity.
Hey, that makes two of them.
Well, what do you mean, hello?
Marcel played John the Baptist in the St. John's Day Parade.
Oh, yes, of course.
So excited.
Il est plus jeune, non, il n'y a pas 20 ans.
C'est pas trop vieillir.
Faites attention.
You know they're thinking of sending troops to Europe.
Oh, Renaud, always so serious. Must you talk about war on Sunday?
You wouldn't feel that way if it had been Papa on the Lusitania.
Oh, well, too. There must be some happier subject to talk about.
Right.
Like, dessert.
Well, hello, young man. Can we help you?
Yes, ma'am. My name's Donovan McCauley, and I'm here to see Madeline. She still does live here, doesn't she?
Well, yes, she does, Mr. McCulley, but rather
Marie, please, let me handle this. Does she know who you are, son?
Well, of course, sir. Well, I think she'll remember.
But you're not sure.
It's been some time since we saw each other last, sir. It was the time Madeline was late for school. I delivered your lunch to you, remember? There was dirt on the chicken.
Yeah, I remember, and there were rocks in my soup. Now, what'd you say your name was again? McClally, McDoodle, McSomething?
McCauley, sir. Donovan McCauley. Oh, I got it from my father, James McCauley. He was quite a worker, sir. God bless his soul.
And what about you? Are you quite a worker or some wanderer?
Well, I'm still at the Continental, sir. I've been promoted 3 times, and I'm up for another raise. Sir.
Louis, stop questioning the young man. He seems perfectly nice. Now calm Madeleine down or I will.
Mais Marie, hein, écoute, hein, his name's Macaulay, huh? Macaulay. That's not French. That's not French, Marie. That's definitely not French.
Stop this nonsense. Madeleine! Yes, Mama. What is it? Oh, Madeleine? This is Donovan McCulley. He says you've met.
Yes, Mama, once. He's the nice boy who brought Papa his lunch. You remember, I was late.
She flew down those stairs faster than any girl had ever seen. From that moment on, I said to myself, I've got to meet that young woman. And if it'd be all right with Mr. Morin, I'd like to ask Madeline if she'd take a stroll with me.
Oh, may I, Papa?
I don't know, Madeleine. I don't know how it would look, you know, you strolling down the street with...
He seems like a perfectly nice young man.
Don't care, Maggie, huh? I just don't like it.
Louis, it's a stroll in the park. He hasn't proposed.
Yeah, not yet, he hasn't.
You're against it for no other reason than the fact that he's Irish.
Look, Maggie, I'm just concerned with her reputation, and ours.
Mama, Papa, let's not keep them all night.
Yes.
Oh, all right, go.
Oh, thank you, Papa.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Morin. And you've nothing to worry about. I assure you I'll have her back within an hour.
You'll have her back in a half an hour, please. And don't go strolling any further than the end of the street.
Louis, don't be ridiculous. Children, go to the park and have fun.
I know he's not French, Mama, huh? That's what I'm trying to tell your daughter-in-law. But will she listen to me? Oh, no, you're pas danger. Huh? Since when did she start running the house?
Louis, I will not listen to another word of your complaining. I just won't listen.
I've never seen a man with such an affection for Irish folks. For a minute there, I thought we'd never be anything more than strangers passing at lunchtime.
Why did you wait so long, Donovan McCauley?
Well, I wanted to come sooner, but I had to stack the wood.
No, that isn't what I meant. For 2 years, I passed by you every day on my way to school, and you never said a word to me. Maybe I should have dropped my father's lunch pail again.
I wish you would have. It would have given us a reason to talk again. Folks don't look too kindly upon an Irishman courting a French girl.
Well, I suppose that's so.
Finally, I couldn't resist your smile any longer. And I said, to hell with all that. I mean, after all, French, Irish, what's the difference? We're both just people.
Well, that's what I say. But Papa thinks himself in his little Quebec on River Street. What's not French?
Madeline, we've only got a short time together, and, well, I want to know how I can see you again. In a world that's cold and empty, I have looked to the stars above for a star that I could wish on to fill my life with love. Now the stars don't always answer, and wishes may not come true, but my world is now less empty. I found a love in you. Though the stars may be far away, they still light up the skies. But the heavens are brighter now with the starlight in your eyes.
I have often thought and wondered what my life was meant to be. Would there be a special someone who would love and cherish me? Now I feel my life has meaning in a world I never knew. For I've met that special someone. I found a love in you.
They may say we must stay apart. I know that you'll understand. Don't judge me for where I come from, but love me for who I am. Oh, my heart is full of wonder, with a feeling I find so new, that the stars above will know, dear, I found a love in you. They may say we must stay apart. I know that you'll understand. Don't judge me for where I come from, but love me for who I am. The love I feel deep in my heart will last forever.
No matter
Never keep us apart. Oh, my heart is full of wonder, with a feeling I find so new, that the stars above will know, dear, I found a love in you. That the stars above will know, dear, I found a love in you.
Donovan and I spent as much time together as possible. I remember when we met on Lisbon Street without Papa's permission. Lisbon Street was at the heart of the city, and we tried not to miss being there on Saturday nights.
We are glad to hear that the Friends of Reform here in Lewiston are beginning at the foundation of the building, rather than at the top of the chimney to erect their structure. Hence the quickening of the pulse of the moral reform. There was no trouble, for example, in scouring the enforcement of the laws against grog shops, gambling dens, and houses of ill fame. So please, noble officers of the law, enforce our anti-liquor laws, as they are the only means of keeping our moral fabric strong.
Exactly.
Did you hear that, Officer Murphy? They're counting on you to clean up the streets.
Maybe I can start with you in your back pocket, Whitney, me boy.
It's only me Bible, sir.
Oh, and you're both on your way to church, I suppose.
Not exactly. But we were at the good Lord's house earlier this morning, praying for those poor unfortunates who know the gutters and are in need of moral guidance.
Oh, Whitney, you know how to bust a gut. And how's your father and Marcel? I thought I'd seen him earlier this evening at the rally.
It'd be a miracle, but he is on his feet and working at the Androscoggin.
Oh, good to hear it. Well, boys, whatever you do this evening, always remember, Officer Murphy is just around the corner. Oh, and you might not want to miss McHenry at the music hall.
Will they ever give that up?
They've been huffing for years now with all that blather.
Hey, my father could use a little of their blathering. Every time he gets into that hooch of his, there's no telling what's going to happen.
Remember the time his nightshirt caught fire? He went screaming through the building, "To le monde! Oh, pew, pew!" He thought the building was on fire. But he was the only thing burning when Mr. LaRouche beat him out with a broom.
Hey, careful what you say about my papa, Whitney. I'll call you out, and I mean it.
Calm down, Marcel. It's just a joke.
Just as soon be sharing his hooch with him.
De Palais. Hello, men. You seen our ladies yet?
No, with Louise's luck, she probably got a night skirt caught to get on the windowsill with her father and so.
I just hope Madeline doesn't get caught by her father.
Hey, she hasn't had a problem yet. Say, how are you getting along with her father? Does your Irish blood still make his French blood boil?
I'm afraid so, Marcel. He still gets that fighting look every time I come over. But her mother, Marie. What a wonder. My Madeline's just like her.
Donovan, you've had stars in your eyes ever since you first met her.
But more importantly, will she be waiting for you at the port when you return from the war? Well, I haven't told her yet. I'm waiting for the right time. So not a word or a peep. Yes, sir. Madeline!
Oh, Donovan, the pillow's under the blankets always fools Papa. And Mama knows I'm not without a chaperone and she helps by distracting him. But tonight, oh, Mama saved my life when Papa came into the room and started talking to the pillows.
Your mother's wonderful.
If my father ever caught me sneaking out, he'd put bars on my windows, that's for sure.
Oh, you're scaring me, Claudette. I should have never come. You'll see me in a sister's habit if Papa ever finds out. I just know it.
Calm down, Louise. We're all going to have another great time on Lisbon Street. Forget about your old-fashioned patties. Promise.
So, what do we do? Let's see, we have Harry McHenry at the music hall, Charlie Chaplin at the Empire, and William S. Hart, the gunfighter, at the Strand. Take your pick, ladies. The night is ours.
Well, I've been wanting to see the Chaplin movie.
Well, I'm with you, love.
What about our favorite, McHenry? You won't believe what he juggles this time. Cats!
No. If you've seen one cat juggle, you've seen them all. We can't miss Billy Hart. I've heard he's the only man standing at high noon after a gunfight with the James gang.
How does he keep the cat from getting away?
What?
McHenry.
Good question, Louise. Kill it, Matthew's over here. Hey, you boys look dapper. Are you off to the war?
Leaving on the 7 a.m. to Portland. From there, it's off to the old country.
What about you, Matthew?
Yes, sir. I know I wouldn't miss my chance to defend the flag. What about you, Macaulay? Are you enlisting?
Well, I haven't made my mind up about anything yet. Say, what are you fellas doing for your last night out?
Strand's doing on our menu tonight.
Hey, these are my kind of cowboys.
Come on, guys. You'll see enough guns and fighting after tomorrow. Let's go to the music hall and see McHenry with the cats.
Better idea, Claudette. Say, why don't you fellas come with us? We'll make a night of it.
Sure, we'll meet you cowboys later.
Lovely night, stars are bright. With you beside me, it feels so right. Hand in hand, life is grand. As we go strolling down to the Strand, see the stars and the smiles from all the people that we meet. There's so much here to see, no place I'd rather be than here with you on Lisbon Street.
Saturday night, you'll be bound, putting the fun in the middle of town. Spending your money won't give a chance, putting your girls to pay for the dance. Hell, you can stop us from drinking in France.
I want to go! I want to go! If you don't behave, you got nothing at all. Why can't you be nice and sweet? There's so much here to see. No place I'd rather be than here with you on Lisbon Street.
Atherton's Furniture Company. Buy a brass bed and get pillows for free. Take a walk down to Cronin and make life worth living. $5 suit.
Cigarettes, tonic, and shredded wheat at Rikers Gaines Drugstore at 10 Lisbon Street.
Lawyers and doctors, a clairvoyant too, all here to service you.
There's Clifford and Nails in the corner of Ash. Parent and Junket, they take only cash.
For a new set of teeth, there's Dr. White. For a hammer and nails, just call Hall and Knife.
This easy at Weston will fill you a mail. Simon Flores is having a sale.
Ariel Plumber does great silhouettes. That Dr. Druggist still sells cigarettes.
Those are fast for the cigarettes. Interested people are in the hat.
Coffee says half that'll fit any man. As do so, Prince Albert is still in the can.
For something artistic, the music hall and the mystic have a show on Lisbon Street. Strolling along on Saturday night, giving the people a secret sight, going to parties, ready to dance, watching the lovers steal
Madeline. I'm sure glad you came tonight.
Oh, me too. Everything is so exciting. Even the stars seem brighter.
Look, there's the Big Dipper. And Orion's belt.
You're the only star that I care about.
Madeline, there's a better way for us to be together. I mean, without the help of pillows and a blanket. Mademoiselle Morin, will you marry me?
Yes, Donovan Macaulay.
Do you think your father will accept me?
Of course he will. If he doesn't, Mama will make him sleep in the porch with the pigeons.
Come on, you two lovebirds. The show's starting.
Now, when Thompson comes on Tuesday with the tomatoes, don't forget to transfer the potatoes to the bin downstairs.
Right, because the potatoes feel more at home in the dark and the tomatoes like the light.
Right. And Cohen will be in on the same day with the lettuce. Mr. La Rochelle will be in on Saturday with the medicines. And Friday, I almost forgot Friday myself. On Friday, Larry Serengeti comes...
Joseph, I don't know if I can run this store by myself. We've been doing it together for so long now.
You'll do fine, Francie. And I'll be home before you know it.
Joseph.
I'll really miss you, Sophie. You know that, don't you?
Yes, Frank. I mean, Private Hewlett's. I'll miss you too.
We've only known each other for a few months, but we have something special. I've never felt this way about anyone before in my life. Something about your eyes. No, maybe your nose. Although those lips look pretty special too.
Right.
I may be gone for some time, and I was just wondering if you'll be here when I get back.
I really wish you could have finished school before going off to fight the war. Your father, God bless him, would be devastated if you didn't graduate.
Mother, we've discussed this before. I have a duty to my country, and if it means sacrificing my life...
Who said anything about sacrifice? Goodness, dear, you aren't going to die. Heavens, no. I'll be right here waiting for you when you come home. You just drop me a postcard and let me know what train you're going to be on. Now, I put clean socks, clean underwear, and double-bag. That's in case you get stuck in war and can't wash your clothes. And sandwiches. You should eat them on the way so they don't go bad.
Mother, don't worry, Mother. I'll be careful. And remember, I love you.
I love you too, sweetie.
You do look handsome, Donovan Macaulay.
I knew I'd be wearing the colors of my homeland. And what about these boots? I could have used these last winter when I went hunting with the boys.
Or kick the can.
Or to boot those dirty Jerrys. Mrs. Macaulay, I want to hear from you as often as possible.
Then you promise you'll be back?
That's my plan. Hey, Macaulay.
Hey, that's Private Macaulay now.
Soon to be General Macaulay. So look out, you lunkheads. Attention! All right, men, there'll be no monkey business on my watch. We've got a long day of marching ahead of us, and the Jerrys are right on our backs.
General, if I may, some of the troops are blue in fear for their men.
That goes for me too, General.
Not to fear, troops. We'll come home when the battle's won.
I saw Willie Meyer at the Continental today. He offered me a job in a loom. I start next week.
It's wonderful, dear. What are the wages?
Well, they're talking about $10 a week. And that'll be enough to cover the rent and food. I'll be a real working girl.
It's fabulous, but only until I come home. We're going to have ourselves a celebration. Just you and me, and a bottle of fine French wine. And then we're going to have ourselves a family. Maybe a Donnie Jr.
I hope so, Donnie.
What do you mean you hope so?
I'm so afraid you're not coming back.
Wipe those tears
stars shine through, I'll be home someday to spend my life with you.
Remember the night that we fell in love and shared each other's heart. We looked to the stars in the sky above and swore we'd never part.
Now it's time to go to a strange and distant shore. As I leave, I know I love you even more than the words in a song can say, more than the stars in the sky. Our love will grow each and every day after our goodbye.
you married Donovan before he left for the war with your father's okay?
Papa finally realized that he was no longer in the farm in Quebec. So, with his blessing, I married my Irishman. Do you remember Renaud? Well, he married a Polish girl.
Oh, you were so in love with him. How did you ever live without him?
Well, the day we married at the church, and all the memories I had of him were so good and so close to my heart that I hardly had time to think of anything else, not even my new job at the mill. Of course, I spent a lot of time with Claudia and Louise. We would talk and laugh. We worked hard for our men in the war, making cloth for their uniforms. We spent long hours in the mill. But in a way, the time I spent in the weave room with all the people surrounding me was like another family away from home. Those were good memories, too.
Well, you boys won't be laughing so hard when Mr. Willimeyer throws you out onto the streets.
What about your mothers? They won't like losing the extra wages.
Pardon me. I hate to disturb you men, but we do have work to do.
Your fellow workers have been waiting for these bobbins downstairs for a half hour now. Some of them have begun to worry that perhaps we'll have to shut down.
Oh well, the boys are playing. We'll just have to wait until they're finished. The soldiers overseas can wait for their uniforms. They'll just make do with the old rags they're wearing. Perhaps just fight naked. What need do they have for clothes anyways? The Germans don't mind. But when they lose the war because they've frozen to death, we'll just send word that you men were playing. Now get back to work.
Yes, sir, Mr. Willimeyer.
Good work, ladies. 300 yards ahead of schedule for the third time this week. You know, there's talk of another raise before Christmas.
Oh, wouldn't that be wonderful, girls? I could buy one of those new victuals they've been advertising at Pepsi. Maybe it'll help take my mind off Donovan. And I could get one of those dresses in the window at Samar's. One with the fancy trim that barely covers the knees. I know Marcel would die to see me in one of those.
What about you, Louise? Oh, my wages go to my mother.
Come on now. You mean to tell us you wouldn't keep a little? You've been talking for a year now about getting one of those hats at Frank's.
Now, come on, ladies. I didn't say it was definite, so don't get your hopes up.
And you'll never see another raise if you don't get back to work.
Yes, sir, Mr. Willimeyer.
Willimeyer, there you are.
I'd like you to meet J.D. Kelsey, one of the principal stockholders from Boston. He and the others have come up to examine the operation.
The pleasure is all mine, sir, and I'm sure that you'll find that everything is running satisfactorily.
Well, yes, it is, except some of the labor force around here seems rather young. If I'm not mistaken, I saw children in the carding room.
That's impossible, Mr. Tillman. We don't allow children under the age of 14. It's against the law.
Fascinating, fascinating. That little doohickey must pass through that other little doohickey 100 times a minute. Amazing. Wonderful.
These are looms, sir. And those doohickeys are called shuttles. You see, the holes in the cards circulating above dictate the pattern of the weave. The strings come down, pick up the corresponding threads, all according to the holes in the cards.
Yeah, thank you, Coburn. I know what a loon is. Who do you think's supporting this operation?
Loon, sir, loon. A loon is a bird indigenous to the waters of the north.
Thank you, Tillman, you buffoon. I know what a loon is. Now show me the rest of this place. I got an appointment in Biddefine this afternoon.
Biddeford, sir. It's Biddeford.
Thank you, Tillman. I know.
Okay, right this way, gentlemen, please. I'll show you the spinning room. where cotton is spun into thread and put on a bobbin. Thank you for your time, Willie Meyer.
Yeah, thank you, Willie, man.
Say, you girls get a load of those bigwigs who came through today? A bunch of them came through our carding room this morning. Coburn had to explain to one of them what a card was.
He made me laugh. He'd never seen a loom before.
Hey, don't laugh. He's the guy who's paying your wages. And they are talking about another raise. You won't catch me complaining. I worked long and hard for my job in the spinning room, and I say, God bless the big one.
Say, girls, I don't suppose you'd be interested in the show this weekend. There's a great motion picture down at the Strand. We could take my Model T.
What Model T? You mean your bicycle?
No, I saved my wages for a year and bought me a new Ford. She's sleek, goes up to 25 miles an hour.
Tell me, Paul, is your car fast enough to outrun my husband when I tell him you won't leave us alone?
You girls are no fun.
I don't know, Madeline.
Louise and I might like to take in a show. You know it's been a while since we've had a night out.
I'll speak for myself, thank you. I attend retreat on Saturday evening.
Fine. Paul and I will go alone.
Well, back to work.
I live by that whistle. Hear it in my sleep.
Just filled with cotton dust, that is life at the mill.
Come in the office, speak English, while those of us here can speak French. Their minds were cleared of their anguish from the dirt and the noise and the stench.
But we don't complain, that would be in vain, so we just work away. And we bear it well till the final bell at the end of the day.
We have no grudge against management. They always have words of encouragement. The places we live seem like hotel suites on River and Oxford and Lincoln.
Donovan? Came home, Frederick McCauley.
Godspeed, Mrs. McCauley. There's a lot to say on our first day back, but before you say another word, we celebrate with a bottle of fine French wine.
You remembered.
We're gonna dance through the streets until we can dance no more. When all is said and done, all that'll remain of the day is you and me. I've had my share of tears for those we've left behind. The dreams that they all shared are passed away. I know it seems like years since the world seemed kind. Now let those thoughts and fears just fade away. Let go of the past now. This decade's in our grasp now. The world is getting brighter every day. I've got a feeling deep inside. The years will be reeling and keep me satisfied. Yesterday's bad times are gone and far away. Won't scrape for thin dimes or see a rainy day. You might think that I am crazy. I won't blame you if you do. Though the future's kind of hazy, I see sunshine coming through. Wonderful feeling, let me emphasize. Life is a feeling I hope you realize. I'm telling you and I hope you'll comprehend. I'm glad to be happy again.
You had such a wonderful time together.
We spent many nights dancing, or walking downtown, or we'd go at the music hall at every chance we get. The hall was at the heart of Lisbon Street and a wonderful part of our life together. Oh, Jenny, what time is it?
It's 3:15. Why? What's wrong with your watch?
Oh, it works. It's only that I was afraid to be late.
Maddie, your bus doesn't leave until 5:30 and your flight doesn't leave until 7:30. You'll be an hour early. Maddie, what's wrong? You said we'd sit here one last time and talk without looking at our watches. You're breaking the rules.
You're right.
Give me your watch.
Okay. But be careful. Donovan gave it to me just before the Depression. In 1928, he was foreman at the Hill Mill. It's a good thing that he gave it to me then, as it would take many years before he could afford to get me another one. Not very many people had it easy during the Depression.
Well, after all that singing and dancing, it's hard to believe times would ever be tough.
Believe it, child. There was no more raises, and the mill worker worked fewer hours. The future of the mill was uncertain until the day of Wyman and Ainsi. Most people considered them as saviors. Until then, there was talk of the Androscoggin.
As the treasurer of the Androscoggin Mill, I feel obligated to inform the stockholders of the mill's current predicament. As everyone is aware, the mill has been losing money for several years now as a result of competition from the South, where goods are made cheaper and in greater quantity. If the mill is to remain solvent and competitive, it would be necessary to upgrade our operation at a cost of $500,000. Should the board choose not to invest the capital in improvements, the equipment will soon become obsolete, and the mill will be forced to close its doors.
What am I going to do? What am I going to tell Louise? I'm going to tell Louise that I lost my job?
All right, quiet, Larry, please, sit down. Look, you all know I've called you here. We've been through this before.
How many hours are they cutting this
Calm
week?
down, Whitney. It's not that bad. Word from upstairs that we'll be down on Thursday afternoons, beginning today.
For how long?
Well, at least until the end of the month. Indefinitely.
See, indefinitely.
This balance could have been worse.
Worse. The guys around the corner at the Androscoggin are having it worse. What am I to tell my family and my kids? That we're next?
But fellas, it's really not that bad. Al, you're still taking home $16 a week.
Yeah, but not for long. Word around town is the Androscoggin is sinking. She's going to take the hill down with her.
You bet. Bob Cormio works over in the spinning room, and he says as of next Thursday, they're all done.
I don't know anything about that. But I can guarantee you we don't go down without a fight. Why don't you fellas go home to your families and try to enjoy the time off? Enjoy the time off.
What am I going to tell Louise?
Yeah,
enjoy the time off. Don't you have any idea how life is the other side of that canal?
Walter, look at these numbers. We're not even halfway there. We need help. We can't possibly purchase the Androscoggin Mill without outside help.
We can't just let the Androscoggin close. We've got to do something to keep it open. What? I'm not sure yet.
But Walter, we've appealed to all the local investors. No one wants to have anything to do with trying to save a sinking ship.
How short-sighted. How can they turn their backs while their city's fate hangs in jeopardy? And what about Central Maine Power? I did not build this company from scratch to watch it die 20 years later. If the Androscoggin goes under, the rest of them will follow, and CMP couldn't sustain the revenue loss.
Walter, the mill can't keep up anymore. It needs $500,000 in upgrades. The southern mills are outproducing us. The cost of labor in New England is too expensive. And we can't keep up with the technology.
Littlefield, I'm well aware of the situation. But has it occurred to you that jobs might be at stake, including yours?
Walter Wyman's office. One moment, please. Mr. Wyman, a call from Albert Lamontagne.
We won't hold our breath on this one.
Hello, Albert. Yes, thank you for getting back to me. How are you? Uh-huh. Oh, fine, fine. Listen, Albert, I called for a reason. Just returned from a stockholders meeting at the Androscoggin Mill, and it seems the plant is in some danger. I'll cut right to the chase. Oh, you already know. No, I haven't contacted him. I'm trying to keep it local. And after all, Albert, thousands of jobs are at stake. It's Lewiston's future. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Well, if that's the way you feel about it, very well, Albert. We'll see you at the company Christmas party.
Like I said, dead end.
Mayor Wiseman and some representatives from Lewiston to see you, sir.
Send them in.
Gentlemen?
Come in, Robert.
It's good of you to see us on such short notice. This is Alderman Harold Skelton.
Please, sit down. Beatrice, some coffee for these gentlemen. Well, men, I know why you've come. You want to know if we've made any progress. And I'll be straight to the point. And we all know Lewiston's industrial base is at stake, and, well, so is a significant chunk of Central Maine Power's revenue. It's my understanding that the Hill Mill is also in jeopardy, and the numbers show declining profits at the other mills in the area. I've been contacting local investors, and some have even expressed interest, but let's face it, gentlemen, it's too big a risk for any local man to take. I hate to be the one to say it, but it doesn't look good.
Of course not. No one has that kind of money to put into an obsolete mill. We saw this coming. We've been beating the bushes also, and actually we've turned up nothing. Well, Walter, I guess there's little left to say but to thank you for your efforts. I must say I never thought I'd see any of the mills closing their doors. Not on my watch. I'm afraid it's not going to look very good in the history books.
Mr. Wyman, if you permit me, now that you're the president of NEBSCO and have established closer ties with the Chicago Utilities investors, have you considered enlisting in their help? I mean, it's my understanding that Samuel Insull, the chairman of NEBSCO's parent company, has recently purchased the Edwards Mill in Augusta, which was facing a markedly similar plight. Do you, I mean, it's just a thought, but do you think that they would consider buying up the Androscoggin and making it a part of the Insull empire?
Well, Insull has been investing more heavily in industrial concerns and utilities in this part of the country. I mean, he bought CMP and he snatched up the Edwards. Who knows, he just might consider it. I mean, the original intent was, of course, to try and keep it local. Yeah, but considering the circumstances, it couldn't hurt to run it by him. Beatrice, ring me Chicago. Well, man, I can't guarantee anything, but this just might work. I mean, I'm sure he'd at least be willing to... Yes? Sam, I'm glad I caught you. I had a little something I wanted to run by you. A little proposition?
Okay, give it to me straight, Donovan. How much longer before we all get the axe?
I don't know, Will. Your guess is as good as mine. It's like the fella said, there's talk about the Androscoggin going under. For now, we still get jobs. I don't know about you, Will, but we're not starving.
Suppose you're right, boss. For now. Hey, maybe I'll take the boys fishing this afternoon or something. Till Monday.
Till Monday, Earl.
Yes, Sam. Beautiful. Hey, you won't regret it. Uh-huh. I'll have the paperwork in Chicago by the end of the week. Well, men, the Androscoggin's ours.
After the Androscoggin, the Hill and Bates also went into the hands of Mr. Insull. For the next few years, the mill workers did not lose their jobs, but the crash of 1929 was painful for everyone all across the country. This was the time of the Great Depression.
What in the world ever happened to the carefree days of the past? In these times they call a depression.
The hopes we all had faded fast. The mills were here to provide us with a chance to improve our lives. But we're finding now that it's useless as we struggle each day to survive. It used to be that there was work for any willing slob. Now all you hear from office jerks, be glad you've got a job. You bust your ass 6 days a week, 10 hours every day. Now you're on a losing streak, you just can't find a way. It wasn't supposed to be like this, a sad and hopeless time. They said we'd have it all, can't miss, now it's brothers spare a dime. It wasn't supposed to be this way, our fathers told us so. It makes us want to run away, but there's nowhere else to go.
When I was young, I lived for today. The future here seemed so far away. The times I thought would always last, I never dreamed they'd go by so fast. Now the winter winds are cold over the hopes I could not hold. The promise that come my way, dreams of another day. I dreamed of worlds I wanted to see. The life I chose would let me be free. I thought that life was always a game, that I would find my fortune and fame. But all I've found for too many years is so much sadness, sorrow and tears. Joy that had come my way, dreams of another day. These are times that make it hard to understand why there's so much sorrow and pain across the land. From the valleys, cities and plains, to the mills here in Lewiston, Maine, we wonder when will it ever end, and when can we dream again? When can we dream again? These can be times that break a man's heart. These can be times that tear him apart. Deep inside I know there will be the kind of world I wanted for me. No matter how bad life always seems, I will hold on to all of my dreams. Madness I feel inside, sadness I just can't hide. I'll set aside, find another way. Dream of my younger days.
Donovan and I survived those desperate years. I took care of Donnie Jr. and the other children while his father worked hard at the mill. But the times had not slowed us down, and our love for dancing, especially to the swing time music.
Don't forget me when you feel sad and blue. Remember all the love we shared, and I'll be there with you. Don't forget me until the very end, and think of all the happy times when you'll come home again.
In 1941, America entered the Second World War, and the citizens of Lewiston responded to the call. Many of these people never returned. Some of these include Private First Class Normand Dion, Seaman James Doucet, Sergeant Roland Levesque, Corporal Dominique Dutil, First Lieutenant Rosaire B. Bilodeau, Seaman James A. Doolittle, Private Wallace E. Dillingham, Corporal Edmond E. Soucy, Corporal Armand Cyr, Sergeant John S. Spellman, Private First Class George Griffith, Sergeant Robert Stone, Sergeant Ernest Stevens, Corporal Fred H. Finocchiaco, Corporal Roland Antil, Private First Class Robert E. Wilkinson, Staff Sergeant Alan R. Robertson, Corporal Alfie Coron, Sergeant William L. Hamilton, Captain Wallace Vaughn, Flight Officer Robert C. Gilman.
Don't forget me when we are miles apart. The memories of the days gone by will heal a broken heart. Don't forget me, no matter where you are. My love for you will never end. Oh, I must let you go. I'll be missing you so until you're in my arms once
Christmas time's upon us once again. Time for peace and joy across the land. And every little child will have a special smile while waiting for a special jolly man. Decorations on a Christmas tree, and a crush for everyone to see. And we've got Santa Claus. We're doing this because we celebrate our Diamond Jubilee.
Hey, Charlie, you had enough to eat yesterday? I ate enough food for a month. I swear my mother-in-law thinks we're cattle or something. Every year she makes way too much food and then gets mad if we don't eat it all.
Then, of course, everyone feels obligated to eat. It's not a holiday over there, Sam. It's like some kind of Thanksgiving boot camp.
Sorry to hear it. Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday. It's the only time my family doesn't get on my case for how much I eat. Oh, it's like every place else. Turkey's on the table, but you can always count on someone to tempt your appetite with a mouth-watering meat pie. Oh, a slice of butter on it, and it's...
Well, we better get back to work. Santa will be here any minute.
Sam, can you and Charlie help me with these? I can't quite reach.
No, it appears you can't. But I think we've got just the thing for you.
Madame, may I interest you in this handy little tool. It'll help you reach the highest shelf without using any stool. A hot sits off the spring inside. It's fun. It's really a kick. For $1.99, Madame, this lovely pogo stick.
Just put the big ones on top, please.
All right.
Hey, guys. Don't you think that doll dresses would look great on these teddy bears? Like little teddy dolls. You could have a whole teddy family.
Oh, Daddy Teddy, take me to Peck's to see Santa Claus.
Well, Teddy Jr., have you been good this year?
Oh, yes, Daddy Teddy. I hibernated for the whole winter. Ate all my picnic cakes and 2 picnickers. But I said I was sorry and I won't do it again.
Oh, it's all right, son. It's a bearable mistake.
If you 2 cubs will help me out, we open in 5 minutes.
Noel, boys and girls. So sorry to disturb you. Just making my rounds. Oh, this is a very special day for us here at Peck's. This is the day that Santa Claus is coming to Lewiston. Oh, just think of it. Very soon now, Santa will be coming through those doors. And all those people outside will be following in behind him, expecting the same Christmas wonderland they've come to enjoy for the last 75 years. God, I love Christmas. Anyway, just wanted to make sure that everything was running smoothly.
No problem here, boss.
Now, this is the season of eternal love and brotherhood, people. So let's extend lots of Christmas cheer to our holiday clientele. And, as we greet our customers, let's not forget the basics. P is for...
Personable.
E is for enthusiastic.
C is for courteous.
K is for kindly.
And S is for sincere, sir.
Righto, boys and girls. You know, it's really a privilege to be one of the 250 employees who keep this place running smoothly during this, our busiest season. Yes, people, we are a proud part of the BPEX team. Over 50,000 people will be coming through those doors during the next month, and it's up to us to make sure that each gets prompt and courteous service. So I wish you all good luck, be good little workers, and ho, ho, ho.
Look, Mommy and Daddy, and all the decorations. Look at the teddy bears. Where's Santa, Mommy? Is he here yet?
Jake, Santa's not here yet, but look, there's his chair.
Where does he live, Mommy?
Go ahead and tell the boy, Kathy.
He lives on Oxford Street, down from the Ganyons.
Don't you listen to silly old Grandpa. Santa lives with Mrs. Claus and his elves at the North Pole. They make toys all year long for good little boys like you and your sister. And then on Christmas Eve, Santa rolls into his sleigh. And with the help of his magical reindeer, he delivers presents for all the children.
Mommy, come and read and look at the teddy bear. Please, Mommy. There, look. Can we go look at some?
Well, sure, sweetie, but there's much more we all want to see.
Keith! Hold it there, young fella. You don't want you falling in.
Daddy, take me to see the bikes. Come on, Dad, the bikes.
No, don't forget, we got your grandmother and grandfather here with us.
Ah, he's just like you, Donnie Jr. More spunk than a pup. Go on. Mom and I will just stroll at our own pace.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. Come on, Kathy, Debbie. We don't want to give your Pepe a heart attack, do we, huh?
You know, Donovan, I can remember my mother bring me to Peck's when I was a little girl. Oh, it was such a thrill. You know, it was the jewel of Haymarket Square. You know that, don't you? And I can remember the rides up and down the elevator, and my
I can remember the tubes that the money that our parents used to put in. It would zip over our heads so fast. Remember that, Jonathan?
Yeah, I remember. One of the only times that I was in the ladies' department was when I bought you a bottle of perfume.
Oh?
Evening in Paris, I believe.
Oh, yes.
And I told the cashier it was for my mother.
Oh, you would do that. Oh, Jonathan, it's so wonderful to be here. Oh, Santa, do you know that I have an eye on an General Electric stove? How about you and I taking a walk over the appliance to see it? And guess what? It's pink. Wouldn't that look great in our kitchen?
But, love, our stove is just fine.
Oh, Donovan, you're an old Scrooge. You'll never change.
You can feel the spirit in the air, down from Lisbon Street and Hewlett Square. And we who work at PEX just got our Christmas checks. It makes us feel like multi-millionaires. Now it's time for us to take a pause, to introduce the one who's here because he fills the hearts with joy of every girl and boy. So come to PEX and meet your Santa Claus.
Oh, thank you very much. Oh, I am the one, I'm the man you've been waiting for. I'll be here every day, working hard on the bottom floor. But I know it's a drag when you gotta stand and wait in line. Oh, I'm the one you and me, this is me feeling fine. And now when the kids are here, they tell me they're awful nice. For you parents out there, I got this little bitty piece of advice. You see, PEX is the place if you got a lot of shopping to do. Oh yeah, 'cause there's no other place that has fine floors for you. But no matter what you want, there's something here for you. Fourth floor.
Bricks for your windows, the beauty parlor too. Have your photo taken when you're looking new.
Third floor.
Furniture and carpets to make your room look right. With radios and TVs and live in black and white.
Second floor.
Or the best someone
Mr. Wonderful with his long dark hair and his psychedelic eyes, and this time I was lucky.
Oh my God. Is this for real? Did he throw it to you, or was it more like a general throw to whoever?
Well, I'm not sure. He might have been looking at Kelly Rizzo, but I think he was aiming at me. Either way, it's groovy. Another big night at the Pal Hop.
Lou-I. Oh, baby, I said now where you gotta go.
All right! You girls should start an all-girl band. Debbie and the lovely Lou-I.
I could be the lead singer.
Well, they'd have no trouble clearing the place out in the event of an emergency.
So cool.
I'm aware of that, Sitz. And how was the lovely Katie doing this evening? You're looking hip.
Thanks, Jake. You're looking pretty hip yourself.
Yeah, it's a nice shirt. Where'd you get it?
Where'd I get this shirt? Got it at the Grand Orange.
I can tell. Anyway, Mr. Rockstar, do you think we could get the three of us backstage? I really dig that drummer from Old Orchard. Katie, well, she's into anyone who can carry a tune.
I guess Jake would fall into that category.
You guys, watch it. My grandparents are watching. Oh my God, they're waving.
My God, I thought you told them not to wave to us.
Hi, Mr. and Mrs. McCauley. How are you? I love your grandparents. They're so adorable.
Are they still waving?
Oh, no, they just sat down. But there's Jason Carbonell.
Man, that was embarrassing.
No doubt.
Even more embarrassing than waving to our grandparents. This is it on the end of my nose. It'd be a flop with the girls if I don't do something. Hey, sis? I'll make a deal. Let me borrow some of your, cover-up. And I'll get you three girls backstage.
You got a deal, Jacqueline. Hands down.
Thanks. I got a split.
Good evening, I'm Bob Willett from WLAM. Thank you. I'd like to welcome you to another fabulous Friday at the Hop. This is where you'll hear the finest bands from Central Maine and Northern New England.
And tonight, one of your local favorites is here to rock and knock your socks off. Please welcome the Doorkeeper.
I don't need no revolution. I don't need no crime control. I don't need a constitution. I don't need no protocol. Sick of the establishment asking me for more. Tired of the government marching us to war. I don't need no Richard Nixon. I don't need no Uncle Sam. I don't need an Armageddon. I don't need no Vietnam. Mr. Johnson, can't you hear the anger of the crowd? The boys you sent have disappeared. Hope you're feeling proud. Oh, just leave me as I am. You will never understand. Oh, mister, can't you see? Oh, just let me be.
A fight had started on the dance floor, and everyone was told to leave. Jake was safe on the stage, but I couldn't find Debbie. From the balcony, we could hear the sound of breaking glass and the voices of angry and confused youngsters. The PAL had its first dance in 1963, and every Friday, hundreds of young people could dance or listen to live music for only 50 cents. But 5 years later, those wonderful PAL Hop nights ended.
Do you mind if we sit for a minute?
May we?
I just wanted to take in the scenery.
Oh, your arthritis is acting up?
Yep.
Do you remember the pleasure we had walking downtown? And McHenry and his cats?
I never thought I'd live to see the day Lisbon Street would become a one-way.
It's so quiet now.
No more mill whistles.
No more trolleys.
The ice castles in Kennedy Park, they were my favorite.
And the Montagnard on Saturday night?
The snowshoe races?
You raced.
Once.
Well, you finished.
Dead last.
You never were an outdoors man.
Life has been good to us.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking of the children.
What were you thinking?
Well, just that I think we've done a darn good job raising them, Madeleine.
We have.
And I was also thinking of you.
What were you thinking, dear?
Just that I love you.
All right. What do you want?
Madeline, what do you mean? What do I want?
I've been with you long enough to know that when you talk like this, you want something. What is it? Your favorite meal?
Look, Madeline, this has nothing to do with a New England boiled dinner. All I'm saying is, I love you.
Well, I love you too. You remember, dear?
Yes.
Come on, my outdoors man. It's time to go home. Look, Donovan, it stopped snowing. I'm glad I dropped that dinner pail that day on the way to school.
Hey, Maddie, it's time to go.
Oh, already?
Yeah, 5:30, like you said.
Okay, boys, time to get back to work.
Are you all right?
Oh, I've never felt more wonderful. C'est la fin de l'histoire. Les gens de ma vie sont partis. Je garderai dans mon cœur toujours les joies
Thank you.